Poppin', Logan Murdock here for Real Ones. I had a great time with Raja Bell and Howard Mf'n Beck on this episode of Real Ones where we talk about the Ewing theory. You guys might know a little bit about that, how a team fares when a star player is out of the lineup, and if they fare better with these stars out of the lineup. We talk about Ja, we talk about Trae Young, and we talk about a little mystery guy that you guys will see during the episode. It might get a little controversial. And then we talk about Desmond Bane and the ethics of a crash out. And then we get to your mailbag questions. It was a really, really fun episode. I think one of our best of the season. Had a lot of fun. So check that out. One real housekeeping note. RealOnesMailbag@gmail.com, RealOnesMailbag@gmail.com, RealOnesMailbag@gmail.com. We'll be answering your questions next Tuesday, so tap in for that. But for now, a great episode of Real Ones with myself, Raja Bell, and Howard Beck.
The Ringer NBA show is presented by FanDuel. FanDuel's got it all. Same game parlays, quick bets for jumping in live and your way so you could build the bet that fits your play. Plus, don't miss out on holiday offers and surprises all month long. Download the FanDuel app or head to FanDuel.com/RingerNBA to get started. 21 plus and present in select states or 18 plus and present in DC, Kentucky, or Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut.
Cliff, play the theme music. It's poppin', Real Ones. Logan Murdock here, Raja Bell there, Howard Beck in the mother effing cut. This is Tuesday, Real Ones. Let's get right to it, man. This was suggested in the pre-pod meeting yesterday that Raja is always invited to but never shows up. So we're going to get right to it. We're going to talk about the Ewing theory and see if it applies to a few players throughout the league. Now, for everybody that needs a refresher on the Ewing theory, it was made famous by our distinguished boss, Bill Simmons, and it suggests that a team performs better after a highly publicized star player leaves, despite initial expectations of decline, because the team stops relying on one individual and plays more cohesively. That is from an AI-generated Google search. So we're just going to go from that. The first person that we are going to talk to in this game that I have bestowed, does it apply or let it fly? We are going to talk about one Ja Morant of the Memphis Grizzlies. Let me give some context here. The Memphis Grizzlies now have a record of 7-5 without Ja Morant this season. That is according to StatsMuse, and they have gotten back into the thick of the Western Conference after a bad start, in which some of those games Ja Morant was playing in to start the season, he wasn't even actually trying. And this comes on the heels of a season when the Grizzlies were 18-14 without Ja Morant during the 24-25 season. And most famously, they were in one of his best seasons and his signature season in the league. He was the Memphis Grizzlies were 20-5 without him in the lineup. I will start with Howard Beck and go to Raja Bell. For Ja Morant, does the Ewing theory apply, or do we need to let it fly?
I think it probably applies. And let me back up because I got curious and I was like, when did Ewing theory start? I actually found it's still up. 2001, ESPN.com, page 2. Bill Simmons' sports guy column. It was actually invented by his friend. We should shout him out. Dave Cirilli. Created in the mid-90s by Dave Cirilli, friend of Bill's, who was convinced that Patrick Ewing's teams, both at Georgetown and with the Knicks, that they inexplicably played better when Ewing was either injured or missing extended stretches. So it started there, and they decided there had to be two things present for somebody to qualify for Ewing theory status. The first one is that it's a star athlete who receives an inordinate amount of media attention and fan interest, and yet their teams never win anything substantial without them, other than a couple of maybe early round playoff series. That certainly seems to apply to Ja Morant. A little bit of early playoff success, but nothing deeper than that yet. And then part two is that same athlete leaves his team, either by injury, trade, graduation, if it was a college guy, free agency, or retirement, and both the media and fans immediately write off the team for the following season. So that was like a very specific definition, but he says when those two elements collide, you have Ewing theory. But it applies to kind of like when a guy goes down. So we had this with Trae, right? Or we'll get to Trae. We had this with Ja. He's out. They're playing pretty well without him, and they were really struggling with him. And on top of that, we knew that there was tension because he got suspended for a game for conduct detrimental to the team. And like, listen, Ja's been a tough haul over the last few years anyway, right? He gets hurt a lot. He gets suspended. When he does play, obviously he's pretty ball dominant, and he's a guy who really thrives one way. He wants the pick and roll diet. And when you didn't have that last season, when they were trying to change up the offense and have it be more of a movement offense, player and ball movement, it threw him off, put him in a funk. And sometimes a team, and maybe the Grizzlies are applicable here, if you've got enough talent otherwise, and the ball moves more without your ball dominant star, sometimes everybody's that much better, a little bit percentage better. Now you still end up not having the guy who can carry you home in a fourth quarter, which is what you usually want stars for, right? Crunch time, critical moments, because your role players aren't necessarily as good in those moments and can't create for themselves. So there's always a downside here, but I'm going to say at a glance, and I'll come back with some stats later, at a glance, I think Ja Morant qualifies for Ewing theory status.
Raja, based on the definition that you just got, what is the science behind that in your mind when, a player does go out and maybe the role players or the people that are deemed role players kind of coalesce and they ball out despite his absence? What do you attribute those types of things to?
Look, in the NBA, I say this all the time. I cringe when I hear a layman, a fan, a media member call someone trash or say they suck or all of the things that we would normally say about the 15th or 12th guy, whatever a roster holds now. Those guys are really, really good basketball players. Now, they might not be as good as your quote-unquote star, but they are, in instances when given the opportunity, able to do some things. And so, this might not apply to 12 or 13 on the bench, but certainly 2 through 9, like those guys are basketball players. So if you have a situation where a star who happens to be, ball dominant, and rightfully so because they're just so great at creating and closing, you have a situation where you extract them from the equation and everybody else gets a chance to play more freely, more wide open with better ball movement, allowing them to showcase what they can naturally do. You could come up with it. You could come up with spurts of time, in some instances, maybe large spurts of time where that team looks better. I had this argument, like, my middle guy sometimes is on teams and stuff, and there was a situation once where he thought a team would be better, without someone. And my take on that to him was like, look, I disagree. Like, I think that you might play better basketball at times without player, but player is so good at being able to make shots and do these things that I don't think you're a better team overall. And so, Howard touched on that. You could play better. Guys could kind of bloom in for lack of a better term when that player is off the court. But typically that 2 through 9 guy that I'm talking about, they're not closers all the time. Or if they are, they're not as good a closer as that star is. So my case was like better basketball being played in absence of player, maybe. Overall better team giving you a better chance to win in certain scenarios, I would argue sometimes not.
Yeah, I think that with Ja specifically, I think he does fit the criteria of what we're talking about with this theory. But I think to Raj's point, it's more of the other stuff, to be honest with you. Yes, Zach Edey is coming into the fold, and he's balling out right now, right? Jaren Jackson is playing well. And they're defensively so much better with Ja off the court. But that is just enhanced by the fact of the off-court stuff, Howard, I feel like, right? Because it's one thing to, the numbers to suggest what they suggest. But if Ja was doing all the right things off the court and he was less of a headache, but he was still making, the shots at the end of games and still playing, solid defense, I think that goes into it more than anything, right? I think that's why they are a better team. I think I think it was a fixable thing. I think now at this point, it's pretty much, he is who he is, and he's pretty much auditioning for the rest of the league right now. Not very well, might I add, but he is doing it nonetheless. When he comes back, or if and when he comes back, how does Memphis adjust to this? And I know you do have stats on the other end, and I want you to get back to that, Howard, but how, at this stage of where the Memphis Grizzlies are and where Ja Morant is, what does Memphis do, and how do they react when Ja comes back? Because it seems like, for all intents and purposes, they are ready to move on from each other. And it's different from 3-4 years ago when it was like, oh, okay, we're going to give him an extension. He's the face of the franchise. Now he's coming back to a situation where it's like, oh, we can get off of your contract and we can still build something with the group that we have at this current moment.
So it's funny because, Logan, the very last thing you said in your question dovetails with one of the stats that I was going to bring up. So I'm just going to jump right to it, which is this. I was texting with my friend Steve Alardi this morning. Steve is a data scientist, has worked in the league, has worked for ESPN, does other things now. But I asked him to look some of this stuff up. One of the advanced plus minus sites, which shows, your impact when you're on the court, it controls for who your teammates are on the court with you, right? So it's a pretty good scientific assessment. Ja is a plus contributor. He's a plus 1.6 per 100. But he says that that's on the level of a solid starter, not even a top 50 player. All-star level is more like a plus 3.5. So when you ask about well, what does it mean to are you building around him? Are you trading him? What do you think you might be able to get? Part of the point of the exercise here is that in a salary cap league where the cap is harder than ever, it's a virtual hard cap in the second apron era. If you're paying a guy the max, and it's like, no one's looking at Ja Morant saying, oh, he's a bad player, but he's not giving you as much impact. The stats are showing this. The advanced stats are showing this. He's not providing as much impact as you'd want for a guy making the max, and many more maxes to come for the next several years. And if you're only being, if your impact is at the level of a solid starter, that's where you have to then weigh that in, right? Oh, it's not that he's a net drain on us. He's not a minus. He's just not providing the impact that you'd think he would based on his stature, his draft position, his salary. And so that's where it becomes difficult. And I think, what I'd be curious about at a time like this is, and this happens sometimes in the league, and Raja's, I'm sure, seen this many times. The star is out, or even a guy who's a high usage role player is out. Team plays well without him. When they're sitting there on the sideline watching, are they assessing this and taking it all and going, you know what? They've got a pretty good thing going without it. I should try to fit into what they're doing when I come back rather than imposing my style.
Negative.
So some guys will. Some guys will adjust slightly. Some guys will not.
Who do you like? I'm very curious. Now, I am not even. This isn't to refute what you're saying. Who did that?
I will say this. I have a person that has done it, but
because I can't. I mean, I played.
He's an arguably top 10 player of all time. When Howard is talking about this, I think about Kobe Bryant in the backstretch of 2000, 2001, where he was out for I had a sprained ankle or something like that, and he was out for about 2-3 weeks, maybe a month, and Shaq went on a fucking tear, like an MVP tear. Okay. And then they rolled that into the 15-1 playoffs. And then that's whenever I think about that example, I think about Kobe. But that's one of one.
That's why He's like the most ironic example possible, and I don't want to cut you off.
Then he went on to have his best postseason of his career.
But when Raja asked Logan, that was who was in my head, because he's the most counterintuitive example you could possibly think of, and it actually happened multiple times. I always say this about the Shaq and Kobe era. It wasn't linear about their relationship or even about Kobe in terms of his evolution. It was 2 steps forward and 1 step back sometimes. It was some backsliding and then getting into bad old habits. And then at times, there was a time he was out with a broken hand to start a season. May have been Phil Jackson's first year. And then there was the one you were talking about, Logan. And at those times, because he was a really intelligent player, he'd say, okay, and he would calibrate. It didn't last. Ultimately, Kobe was still going to be Kobe, and he and Shaq were going to clash anyway. But Raja, I'm telling you, and Logan just mentioned it too, Kobe is an example of somebody who at times could see there's a successful model here without me. I need to rein myself in at least a little bit.
Well, no, that's a great example, right? I would not have really witnessed that in that way because that was around when I was playing or trying to make the league. So I wasn't dialed into what he or the Lakers were doing like that. I would just say 2 things, and you touched one. I mean, that was a moment in time that was not going to last forever, right? He's not saying, hey, bro, I'm changing the way I play to fit in with the Lakers for the rest of my career. And number 2, it's easier to do that when you're talking about a star like Kobe deferring or augmenting his game to support a team that is now thriving around a star like Shaq.
Yeah,
Sure.
Right? Like the context is very important because
agreed.
minus Shaq, Kobe's like, fuck that. Like, I'm not, you know?
Okay, so that being the case, let's bring it back to Ja then. If we agree, and I'm not sure if we all agree or not, about whether Ja is a difficult fit for a team sometimes, and that maybe the Grizzlies are going to be better off without him, or maybe if you trade him because you're going to get back either one guy who makes the max and actually gives you max impact, which we just established Ja does not, or you're getting multiple players back and giving yourself some flexibility to go a different direction. Like, ultimately, are they better off without Ja, Raja? Like, and I'm not saying this is, again, not a value judgment on Ja as a player.
Sure.
Overall, he's a good player. Is he great enough? And are what the Grizzlies doing now proof that, or at least suggestive that they might be better in the long run without him?
Well, let me first touch on the Kobe of it all, and you asking the question, previously about, like, can you sit there or Logan, you may have asked it, can you sit there and watch them play and say, hey, let me figure out how to fit in around that? I do feel like the Shaq situation is really, and the context of a player like Shaq being present is important, because if you look at like 17 a game for Jaren Jackson or like Zach Edey, who's playing well, like those numbers and what they're doing night to night might not suggest to someone like Ja, who feels the way he does about his own skill set, that he needs to change when he comes back, right? To answer your question, the immediate question, Howard, if you're going to ask him, and this kind of falls into the thing that I've been saying recently about LeBron, if you are going to ask a player type like a Ja, or even like, some of the names we'll get to later who need the ball to do what they do, if you are going to ask them to give that up and be more of a piece, the answer is, yeah, man, if you can move him and get more pieces that fit with what you do more organically, probably better without him. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like a better fit, you get more complementary pieces. If you're not going to let the highest end of that star be the highest end of that star, absolutely. And it might be because you deem the highest end of his ability isn't good enough. And I'm not here to say that, but like, if you've made that determination as a team, the answer is yeah, like move that. If you can get back pieces that you feel make you a better squad.
So I don't with this particular situation that the Grizzlies find themselves in, there are a couple of ways that they can go, right? They can go trade away and try to get a salary slot of Jaws and try to get a star. They're probably going to do that anyway just to make the numbers work, right? Or they can go try to do that, get picks on an expiring deal and try to replenish that way, right? They already have the picks from the Orlando Magic deal, so maybe that's not a priority right now, right? But they could. One things that I keep thinking about right now is keep thinking about the 2007, 2008 Nuggets, right? Where they go into that offseason in 2008 and they're playing with Allen Iverson and they say, oh, we're good, but it's just not working. We have hit a ceiling here. And they trade Allen Iverson and they get Chauncey Billups, right? On the surface, you're like, man, that might be a regression because Allen Iverson is a first ballot Hall of Famer. He has done so much. I mean, Raja knows how great he is. Howard knows how great he is. I know how great he is. But then you put him onto a better fit for that roster. And what happened with the Nuggets? No, they didn't win a championship, but that was because, the Lakers were in their way. But they went to the conference finals. They had one of their best seasons in franchise history because they had a different type of point guard that fit mostly with that roster. I do wonder if this could, if the Grizzlies are thinking, oh man, this is a sleeping giant. If we can flip a guy like Ja for maybe an overzealous franchise and get a guy back, I think they can do that. The problem I think though is that I think we're so much more sophisticated now. And not to say that bad deals won't happen, right? But I think we're a lot more sophisticated as a league to do that, where we look at the numbers and we put that into consideration when we are trading for someone. And the fact of the matter is with Ja Morant is, I think like the book is already out on him, right?
Yeah.
Like every other team knows exactly what they're going to get. And it would take a GM to go out on a limb and say, okay, I'll do it for this guy because I believe in this guy. The problem is, in this new apron era, you're going to have to make a trade for Ja if you're the Grizzlies 4 years ago when no one is at his highest peak. And if you see it, you go make the trade and you surprise the rest of the league, but you were the smartest one because you knew what was going on beforehand. It's going to be hard to move him because everybody knows who he is. And I think that's the tricky part, Howard.
Yeah, and it's not just the play, right? It's all the stuff that's happened to get him suspended multiple times and attitude concerns, and every other team knows that too, right? And that's not to blame the Grizzlies for not trading him a few years ago. Like, that would have seemed crazy at the time. They are where they are because of everything that's happened since, right? So it is going to make it tough. The league is collectively smarter and more skeptical, I think, of guys whose advanced stats, their impact stats, don't match up with the box score or the eye test. And you do start to look at them a little more askew. It doesn't mean somebody else won't trade for him or take a chance on him or think that they can get a better version of him. It does mean that they might not want to give up as much to get him, though. And so any trade would be tough.
Well, the problem is for me, I'm going to get right to you, Roger. The problem is for me is the two teams that would trade for him in my eyes would just say, we'll take a chance on him. The Pelicans and the Kings don't really have guys that can, both match the salary slot and I think make this Grizzlies team better. And I think that's the tough part in this league right now. So we'll see what happens. But Roger, what were you going to say?
Yeah, I was just going to say about your Carmelo thing again. You make a move and get rid of Allen Iverson. It falls into the same category as why Kobe would look at a team playing with Shaq and say, "Hey, I need to change the way I play," because you have Carmelo Anthony.
Sure,
right? Like when you're saying you're going to just change a piece and you think you can unlock your team, then you're saying Jaren Jackson or Zach, someone over there is a true number one, and you have to find a good supporting castmate to kind of unlock him. Denver had the security of knowing I already have Melo. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a good point. Yeah. And we don't know we know who Jaren Jackson is, then I have my skepticisms of him, and I know Beck does as well, but we don't know who Zach Edey is. It's just so many question marks with this roster.
Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon Prime. The holidays move fast, and Amazon Prime keeps you in control with fast and free delivery. We've all been there. Family plans are fluid. Somebody's not coming. Suddenly they are coming, and you're excited about it. You want to get them a gift, so you hop on Amazon Prime, line that up with their interests, and it's easy to do because Amazon has everything. Prime's fast shipping is always there for you during the holidays, especially when it's last minute, and it just can't wait. Need that last minute gift or holiday essential? It's on Prime. Head to Amazon.com/Prime to shop now.
All right. Next player is a very polarizing player. We're going to go down to Atlanta and talk about Trae Young. Let me give some stats really quickly. Since 2020, December 9th, 2020, that is 5 years ago to the day, the Atlanta Hawks have a record of 174 and 173 with Trae Young. They have a 60 and 75 record with Trae Young since 23-24. Defense is horrible with Trae Young on the floor, but he's still Trae Young, and he's also having one of the worst individual seasons he's had. He's shooting like 37% from the field, 19 from three over his in the 5 games that he's played. Meanwhile, the Hawks are rolling without him. Dyson Daniels, the Defensive Player of the Year finalist and Most Improved Player, has been killing it. For the Ewing theory, Howard, for Trae Young, does it apply, or are we going to let it fly?
It's a really interesting case because part of what's happened, so they're 12-8 without him this season. They were 2-3 when he was playing. Part of what's happened is that Jalen Johnson picked up where he left off last year before he got hurt and is turning into a freaking star before our eyes, right? So the picture's clouded a little bit on this one, right? It's not Trae Young was in this lineup and everything else is static and now he's out and they're playing better without him. It's Trae Young's out and this really nice young player has caught fire in a way that you didn't really see coming and is just growing by leaps and bounds, and he's torching the league and he's putting up triple doubles. And now it's like we might have a new North Star. And we now have to figure out, going back to Kobe and Shaq type example, does the old North Star want to play with the new North Star? Do we have too many North Stars? Can they function well together? Can we be even better than this with a fully functioning Trae Young and Jalen Johnson together? I, as well as most people around the league, I think would be skeptical that Trae's going to fit well with him. But Raja, this is another case where I think it's it's fair to wonder or give the benefit of the doubt to a guy. Trae Young has played a certain way most of his career, but listen, notably, Trae Young's a phenomenal passer, often gets overlooked by other things in his game, including his three-point shooting, but a phenomenal passer. He should actually be able to kind of get himself back in the flow with the team the way they're playing now without him, mesh with that, help bring out the best of Jalen Johnson and everybody else, and maybe it does ratchet down his usage rate. We'll see. The problem is, and this is where I'll bring my friend Steve Alardi back into the mix with the advanced stats, his defense is so bad that Steve notes that it negates his plus offensive impact. So he's a net minus. And that's tough. It's a size thing. It's also just the way he plays defense. But it may well be that they are better off without him. So Logan, I'm going with what was our framework here?
Does it apply or let it fly?
I think it applies. I think Ewing theory with a lot of asterisks kind of applies, and I think it's probably time for the Hawks to choose a different direction and be building around Jalen Johnson.
Real quick, Raja, the Atlanta Hawks have a 119 defensive rating with Trae Young on the floor.
Yeah, that's tough, man. That's. I'm just gonna agree with Howard. You want me to be quick? I'll agree with Howard there. I think. No, I mean, I would like to give him the benefit of the doubt because I think weirdly, and this makes no real sense, like on paper, but in my head it does. Like he's been so ball dominant and so, on everything's had to revolve around him for so long as a player, all the way back when you watched him in Oklahoma. It's just what he's always done. But for some weird reason in my mind, he seems like he would be able to change his game to fit a different style better than John Morant would be. Like, because of his ability to catch and shoot, like because of some of the things he does. But that lack of defense is just, that's really, really hard when you're that small guard and you don't defend. But I would agree with you, Howard, but I do want to give him the benefit of the doubt, like you said we should, right? Because in the weirdest way, I feel like his skill set, if he ever bought into not having to be this ball dominant type of player, like he could fit.
You can scheme around one bad defender, right? I mean, he's off, you can hide your one bad defender. But here's the thing. When they got DeJounte Murray, I initially thought, okay, Mac, they gave up a lot to get DeJounte Murray. People go read my piece today on theringer.com about all-in trades and how they often backfire. But I thought they could play off each other because Trae is such a great shooter and a great passer. Like he can function in other ways and contribute at a high level in other ways that don't require him having the ball in his hands all the time and scoring all the time. Ja cannot shoot. And therefore, like without the ball in his hands, he is diminished anyway. So yeah, it's tougher. Trae has a better chance of meshing, and he's also been in the league longer, Raja, too. So what was the lesson we learned off of the Pierce, Garnett, Ray Allen Celtics? What did they all say in their early 30s when they got together and immediately just like torched the league? We'd all had our individual success. We'd all seen the limits of that individual success, and we were all ready to sacrifice for each other, and they go and they win a championship and make a couple finals. It sometimes takes a guy into his late 20s, early 30s before he's ready to kind of put aside the individual goals and be more about team. And so Trae is a little older, maybe, again, benefit of the doubt. Maybe he's willing to play a different way and see what Jalen Johnson has brought to the table and fit in around that.
Let me just can I take you guys under the hood real quick, just real quick, because this is what the fan doesn't really see. We had this conversation as it related to like Kyrie Irving way back. For a Trae Young to look at a situation and acknowledge, that he needs to play a different kind of way to fit what's going on, he has to, in practice, see Jalen Johnson in a way that the Ray Allen, the Kevin Garnett, and the Paul Pierce can have actual mutual respect and understand, this dude is a killer. And it doesn't always happen in games. Like, we see the games. The fans see the games. Where you earn that respect from Trae that allows Trae to say, okay, dude, like, I can play off of that, is in practice. That's where I watched LeBron and Kyrie work that out. And I watched it right before my eyes. I watched that dynamic. Once I saw LeBron start going over to Kyrie, and Kyrie was giving him the little tutorial of like how he's putting the ball off the glass and all of that, I said, oh shit. Like, they're going to be fine. Like how Kevin Love fits in, we'll have to figure it out. But that's the dynamic, right? Is Trae Young has to be able to leave a practice, get on the phone with his homeboy and say, hey, bro, this kid Jalen Johnson is a motherfucker. Like, he's a bad man. And now you got action. Now you might get to that point, Howard, where you say, hey, you know what? I'm in year whatever this is. I really want to win, and it's incumbent upon me to like make this little bit of a change to kind of accommodate this young star who I think can get us where we need to go.
Yeah. I mean, to your point, Raja, Trae Young has a lot to prove in that regard, right? I mean, you hear certain whispers like, oh, he's matured a little bit, but like he's still like doing content to like go at Pat Beverly off of like, you know what I'm saying? Like he's still trying to clap back on some like real kid shit, right? And before this happened, like his best run was during the 2021 Eastern Conference Finals run, right? And that was a very wonky season in hindsight, right? You know, a lot of teams played a lot of games in a very condensed time period, and a lot of weird teams got through that, right? Not to diminish what he did, because he had a great run. Since then, he hasn't been good, and he's had the bug of a coach killer. He's had the reputation of players not liking him or not wanting to play with him league wide, and I say all that to say, to your point about him looking at another teammate and saying, "Oh man, I can share some of this with you." He has a lot to prove, because I don't believe he can do that right now, right? Because you talk about LeBron, who, while he does have one of the biggest egos of all time, and rightfully so, in a superstar ego, he has been really good at with players that he likes and saying, "Oh, okay, I'll let you get a chance to get this torch, right? Like I will defer." He deferred with Dwayne Wade early on, to the point where Dwayne Wade was like, "Nah, bro, you are better than me. Please take the reins of this offense," right? Kyrie, same deal, was like, "Oh, okay, you got it." I remember that San Antonio game against the game against the Cavs in San Antonio. It was a TNT game. I think you were in the front office at that time, Raja, where Kyrie just went completely ballistic, and LeBron was like, "Oh, okay, I guess I'll just be a supporting role tonight. I'll hit the shots when I need to, but this is Kyrie's game." I don't see that from Trae Young right now. I don't see that he's capable of doing that. And this is a big step, because we talk about Ja having an audition. Trae Young also has a big audition for how long he's going to be in Atlanta. Like, and I agree with you, Howard, and I agree with you, Raja. I think that he has the tools to adjust and to what he can be into the next stage of his career. Just watch some Steph highlights coming off screens, and you don't have to have the ball so much. I think he can do that. I'm reticent to believe that he is going to do that. And if he doesn't do that, Howard and Raja, this is my last question for this part of the segment. If he doesn't do that, and we talk about pressing buttons and when to press the button, if Giannis is out here doing this double dutching and going back and forth, right? Atlanta seems like the prime place for him to go with the picks and the team. I'll start with Howard, then I'll go to Raja. Do you press the button with this specific roster?
If I'm the Hawks, and again, referenced in my piece that's on theringer.com right now, go read it. It's about all-in trades and how they could quickly go wrong. But the Hawks, yeah. I mean, you've got a star in Trae Young, who you probably want to move off of anyway, and could be the core piece of a trade. You're not trading Jalen Johnson. The Bucks will insist on him, and you're going to say no. But you've got they have control of the Bucks 2026 pick, which is pretty freaking huge. They also have control, and these two picks are tied together in some kind of obnoxious fucking picks and swaps and whatever. But their pick, the Bucks pick, and the Pelicans pick are tied together. The Hawks have control over both, or one or the other. It's very confusing. Those are really, really nice trade chips. So if you're the Bucks and you can get control back of your 2026 pick in a year that you think you're going to be bad because you're trading Giannis in season, if that were to happen, yeah, get your pick back. Get Trae Young, who will put butts in seats and is fun and actually will win you some games too. And look, he's a really good player, flawed but a really good player. And whatever other picks and an ancillary player, like you're going to ask for like Nickeil Alexander-Walker, you're going to ask for Dyson Daniels. Like the Hawks are going to try their best not to give up any of those guys aside from Trae. But yeah, I mean, if I'm the Hawks and they do start to shop Giannis, if Giannis has this time and Giannis is willing to re-sign with me critically because he's only got another year left after this one, yeah, I'm in.
Roger Bill?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Very profound thought right there, buddy.
I mean, that's a. But I mean, like
Succinct.
You're asking me if I would give up Trae Young for Giannis?
And a bunch of picks.
Wait, yes. I mean,
you said fuck them picks, Howard.
No.
Well, I mean, listen. I would say this. If the case for the Hawks not doing it, this is a little bit of a tangent, but there's actually a case for the Hawks not doing it, which is you're going to trade Trae anyway, probably for other stuff. You have Jalen Johnson as your tent pole. You've got these really great role players, high level defenders in Dyson and Nikhil, and then you have, because you have control over the Bucks and Pelicans picks, the chances of you getting an incredible player next June in this really strong draft to go with the guys you already have, and on a longer timeline, because Giannis is in his early 30s, 30, 31, whatever he is. Like, I don't know, like that would be a really interesting debate to be part of in the Hawks front office, is all I'm saying.
It definitely would. That'd be a fascinating debate. And I believe you'd have people where in some of those debates in front offices, you have guys that are really close to either side of the argument. In that one, you probably have people on like just a complete opposite ends of the spectrum on that. I would just say that, I'm trying to be a little funny there, but the argument that you're making about the extended timeline, I think I would use the opposite argument and say, if I'm looking at the East and I'm Atlanta right now, let's fucking go. Let's rock and roll, baby. Let's see if we can capitalize on the window now through whatever Giannis has left in the tank.
Yeah.
That would be my argument in that office.
Yeah. Do you throw Porzingis in there as well? Like, he's injury prone. You don't know how long he's going to be on that roster. Would you just throw him in and see if you can get if that elicits something else in a trade, Howard?
No, I mean, Porzingis might be part of just salary matching or whatever else in a trade for Giannis anyway. Like, you've got Okongwu, you've got other, like, yeah, I think you trade everybody. You have to be willing to trade anybody but Jalen, and you're trying to hold on to Jalen as well as Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Dyson Daniels, right? Like, I think those guys are the core of where your future's heading. But it's interesting to think that core with Giannis, or that core, which is still pretty young, with a potentially like blue chip talent in June that's coming via somebody else's draft pick. Like, it's tempting, but like, I'm kind of with Raja in the end. I could talk myself in circles all day on this. I think in the end, I'd be like, fuck it. The East is wide open this season. Giannis plus. Yeah, if you don't have to give up too much in terms of your current players, and you can get Giannis, yeah.
I'm with you, Howard. Like, I mean, obviously, if you're telling me I got to give up Dyson and some other pieces, and it's just that changes shit. But like, if I could hold on to some of that core, yeah. Because I mean, I love Cam Boozer. I mean, I've watched him since he's gonna be one of the top picks in the draft. I watched the youngin at BYU up around Thanksgiving in Orlando. Like, they're really good players, but I mean, it's fucking Giannis. You know what I mean? And if you had the core to go around him, let's go.
Hey, Raja.
Yep.
That celebration down Peachtree will be fucking insane.
Which Peachtree? There's like 17 of them.
The one. The varsity will be popping.
No doubt.
Cliff might miss a show to go down there. Anyways, let's go to our last one. Our last Ewing theory candidate. This is kind of a throw-in. I don't even think me and Howard honestly believe this one, but we just said fuck it. Let's make a whole fan base mad at us. Paolo Banchero, ladies and gentlemen. Does it apply? Let it fly. Howard Beck.
Probably let it fly, but like, okay, they're 7-7 with Paolo this season and 7-3 without him. So this is why we bring it up, right? Oh, look at how well they're playing with it. It's just like Wagner as the centerpiece with, Bane is kind of the one to play off of him, and like good defenders around him and everything. Like, it's simplified. You have, again, the North Star kind of theory. You have one North Star. And it's also because if you go back over the last several years, and again, my buddy Steve Alardi, when I was just trading notes with him this morning, noted that the raw on-off data for years have been showing this, that the Magic are really great with Franz on the court and no Paolo, but they're bad when it's Paolo with Franz. And I don't think they're as good with just Paolo and not Franz. So like the advanced stats or the on-off numbers generally favor Franz with or without Paolo. And the thing with Paolo is, and again, Steve mentioned this, like, he's a net negative player impact-wise, but it's not necessarily due to awful defense, which was the case earlier in his career. It's more about his offensive efficiency. Paolo, high usage rate, low efficiency. And you expect a young player, and he's still a young player, which is why you don't want to go Ewing theory too soon on the guy, right? he's going to get you hope he's going to get more efficient. He's going to take better shots over time. He's going to take higher percentage shots over time. He's going to get some of the bad shots out of his game. I think he needs to become more of a playmaker too. And I think my biggest concern or skepticism about the Magic anyway, with a lot of people this year getting, preseason hyperventilating about them being a contender, I was not in that group. I just think their offense doesn't function to its max capacity with those two, because I think they're overlapping too much. And it's just one or the other. I don't think they're necessarily enhancing each other or the guys around them as a duo. I'm not sure this is a duo that fits long term, but it's way too early to give up on it. So yeah, we're not gonna go down that road.
Yeah, I would agree with you, Howard. I just not finished enough of a product as a player for me to make that call on. I could make the argument the stats support them being better as someone else, with someone else being the true one of that team. But I don't think that at this stage in someone's career, it's fair to kind of make that assessment of them as a player. He's got too much to learn. Now, I mean, as we talk about all these guys, the older and more stuck in your ways you get, the harder it becomes for a Tiger to change those stripes, right? So if we're not going to be seeing the improvement in terms of efficiency and shot selection and so on and so forth, I mean, it would be fair in a couple years, but right now I don't think I'm ready to do that.
I would just say, for young players, and I think we talked about Ja, and this is going to be quick because we just wanted to fuck around a little bit, but I think that for young players in Paolo's position, and we just talked about Ja, if you see there's a deficiency or any type of deficiency when you're on the floor, but you have a chance to make your team great and better, work on them deficiencies, man, because for a long time, I'm thinking about Ja, and you can go back and listen to the archives of Real Ones with me and Raja talking about Ja, and just the I don't even know what the word to call it, but just ignoring the fact that you need to improve your game. Ja's game has been the same as it's always been. He was a great raw prospect, right? Didn't improve his three-point shooting. Didn't improve his defensive acumen. He could have been just an average defender and it would have been okay. And then you get to this point where it's you're this high-priced guy, and I'm not specifically talking about Paolo. I'm talking about young players of that ilk who have the chance to be stars. You have to work at it so you can uplift your team, because that's the difference between not only you uplifting your team, but if it don't work out with your team, you can go uplift another one and be adaptable and all of those things. And I want that for Paolo. Not to say he's not a hard worker or anything like that, but this is the time, I would say, that you need to work on the nooks and crannies of your game in order to make it better, in order to fit alongside your guys, because it ain't never going to be for Paolo how it is right now in Orlando with any other team. So that's something that I would just caution right now.
Yeah, quick addendum to that, which is just that superstars have more of a responsibility to their team than simply putting up massive numbers, and especially massive scoring numbers. You need to impact winning at a super high level because you have a super high profile, a super high salary. You're supposed to make your teammates better, right? There's the old cliche, make everybody around you better. So it can't just be, I put up 25 and 10 every night or whatever. It's your efficiency matters. Your defense matters. How you work with your teammates matters. Your leadership matters. You have a responsibility. And so that's where Ja has fallen short. That's where Paolo, as a younger player, still, I think, is working toward all of that. Quick side note, by the way, with Franz Wagner getting injured the other day, if he doesn't make the All-Star team, this is such a random thing, but I just have to throw it in there. If he doesn't make the All-Star team, it will be the 28th consecutive year where no one drafted with the 8th pick makes an All-Star team. This comes from our friend Daniel Joyo, who wrote about this entire weird subplot on theringer.com a couple of years ago. 2023, there's a piece by him about how the curse of the 8th pick has not made an All-Star team in 27 years, and this will be the 28th consecutive season if Franz, now injured, doesn't make it. So curse of the 8th pick.
Pool. It's a great pool.
Yeah.
All right, staying on the Magic. The floor is Rogers. We're passing the ball to Roger right now.
Because we're good teammates, Logan.
We're great teammates. We know when to get the ball to our best player. So, anyways, MSG. Magic are down 10 with 6 minutes to go. OG Anunoby gets a steal. Anthony Black makes a great fucking defensive play on a fast break. The ball goes into Desmond Bane's hands. Presumably, he could take the ball and go on a fast break the other way. He decides not to do that. He decides to throw the ball, dodgeball style, at OG Anunoby's rear end, causing a brouhaha, I believe a technical foul, and a $35,000 fine for Desmond Bane. Raji, your thoughts?
Second time he's done it, by the way.
Second time he's done it. The first time he did it was against Atlanta. Similar play where he's the one that got the great defensive play and then throws the ball at the defender. Anyways, all that to say, your thoughts. We're clearing out.
Yeah. I don't think this isn't an ISO. This isn't an ISO. I don't feel like my matchup is great here. This isn't an ISO. Dodgeball is a phenomenal movie. If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. 5 D's to dodgeball, dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge. Like, love it. He did bean him like it was a crazy play. Has he given any context as to why he did that? Has he explained himself I tried to look for it. I didn't see any explanation. I saw the fine. I don't know what to say about that, Logan. I obviously everyone saw my moment, right? Where, I had enough of what I perceived to have been shots to my face. I had asked the ref to stop, and then I just kind of had a blackout moment where I was like, fuck it, I'm going to handle it myself. Everyone knows that. Everyone's seen that. So I can come from a place of experience and tell you that happens sometimes. Like if you're just at your wit's end with what you think someone's doing to you. I didn't watch that game, but I didn't see anything in the reporting that said there was a buildup to that. I don't really know what happened there. It was like he short-circuited for a minute. It was pretty bizarre because it wasn't like he was in jeopardy of falling out of bounds and made a judgment call on whether you were going to throw. He was in bounds, both feet down, and just rifled the ball at him. I don't know what to say about that.
I'm like, the court is, your basket is over there. You have
other
a
way.
matchup. You have a matchup advantage. Go run.
Yeah.
Down.
I don't
You're
have a
down
clear
11.
out because I don't understand that. I don't understand what happened.
Bro.
Legler was on Zach's pod and he noted that back in the day that would have set up a fight. Like Anunoby,
wait, to your point. Hold on. To your point, I want
Yeah.
to set this up really quickly because I wanted to get Raj's perspective on this because this is what Anunoby said. And also for the younger kids, this type of quote is like the new diss. But he said about the Desmond Bane play, I was confused at first. Then it was funny. I like Desmond. He's a good dude. That's what the reaction
It's like
was.
patting him on the head.
Yeah, they're so wild.
It's also condescending, though. It is a bit condescending, but I was ready for
definitely.
hands to be thrown on both occasions. In Atlanta, too, there was no hands thrown.
I didn't see. Well, no. When's the last time you've seen like real hands thrown like that? That's.
We've
But
legislated that out of the league, but still.
Yeah. To Howard's point. Yeah, that's a brawl. That's immediate. Like way back in the day. That's crazy. I don't know, man. Not the media segment. I guess you guys probably thought you were going to get more out of me on this, but because I don't understand, because I have no understanding of what happened, I can't really explain it other than like I've had a semi blackout moment. Like, look, anyone that listens to this pod, it's not new to them. Like through the course of my life, I've had a lot of those moments where like I've had enough of something and I might go to a place where
You're just looking for the reason.
10 seconds later, you might be like, yo, why the fuck did you do that? And I'd be like, yo, bro, I have no idea. But I mean, that's all I can attribute that to. I have no idea what was going on there.
Yeah. I don't know. I love Desmond Bane as a player, but this kind of goes to the argument of like the 5 picks and like the first round picks argument. Like he can't be your number one guy if he's going to be this not level headed, bro. Like he can't. And I think that, you got that return. You wanted Desmond Bane on your team. You do not want him to be said leader of your team.
You know what's crazy about the play though? Well, here's what I'd say to you, Logan.
Because he lost the game. He essentially lost the game for them in that game for that action.
You can be an emotional leader. Like those guys can be. I've referenced myself in this space sometimes. I wasn't going to be your leader, but there are teams where I was looked at
the
to
Draymond
be an emotional leader, right? We're in a lot of times too volatile to be your leader, not good enough players. But anyway, the crazy part about that play to me, on top of the why of it all, was he didn't look like when my moments happen or Draymond's moments happen, or when you have that moment, that person's usually ready to fight. Like, let's go, motherfucker, what's up? Like, he didn't look like that.
He said, "Whoo, oh."
It was like, yeah, just standing there, which is bizarre to me because, like, if you've made the call, like, yo, I'm gonna fuck him up, bro. Like, he's about to get fucked up.
To his credit,
Once you do that,
I want to push back really quickly, though. To his credit, in the game against Atlanta, he threw the ball at the opponent and said, "Don't do shit," and pointed in his face. Like,
okay,
as he was
I
getting
didn't see
pushed
that
back, right? As he got pushed back. So I'm not saying that Desmond Bane ain't about the smoke because I do believe in his heart of hearts. He just has that like football player energy, right? He ain't got no neck. He over here like this, right? Like I could see him folding somebody if need be. But I don't think it just happened in that particular play for whatever reason. Maybe he liked OG and's like, you know what? I just threw it at him. That's it. We're good. You know what I mean? But like, I don't know. Back in your day and in the generation before you, even if you like somebody, y'all just love to fight. Y'all just love to fight.
Yeah, I don't know, but I don't. I'm not questioning Desmond Bane's toughness or anything like that at all.
No, not at all. Not at all.
And so I didn't see the Atlanta one, but you're giving me the kind of the insight I need. If you are going to bean someone with the ball, you're then going to go up to them and point at them and be like, "Yo, don't do that." That says to me, you were triggered by something that happened, and your answer to that was to throw the ball. Whether that's right or wrong, all right, that's another conversation.
You just
but
were
that's
searching
why
for the
you did
reason
that.
for the last.
That's
10
why
minutes.
you did that. Yeah. I don't understand the New York one.
Logan, remind me because I can't remember when I last watched it. The Hawks one I thought was one where it was more like he's in the air and it was like one of those like I'm beaning it off you to make it out of bounds off you and get it back. Whereas this one, yeah, as you noted in the intro to it, he could have just like turned and gone
I
up
remember
court. He
correctly, I don't
didn't
have
have to.
YouTube
I
in
think the
front of
Hawks
me right
one.
now.
Yeah, I think the Hawks one was a little more.
He was Anthony Black in this situation against the Hawks where he like tried to like make a play on the ball. I don't know if he got called for a foul or not, but he was in the same position where he was inbounds and threw the ball.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not the same as like when you're flying out of bounds and you bounce it off the guy who's still inbounds or whatever, or off their butt to make it go out, and so you can get the ball back. Like, yeah, it was just weird. Like this one seemed.
It was inexplicable.
Totally gratuitous. It was just like it was completely unnecessary, which is why you got fined.
You're down 11, bro.
35K.
Go try to make a basket. Now, like, there's a technical foul. You got to the other team shoots free throws. You take the momentum. It was Anthony Black made an incredible defensive play, Raja. Like, I mean, I know you saw it, but like, I just want to give kudos to that. I would be hella mad if I made a great defensive play on that way. You get the ball and you just throw the ball at the guy when we could go out on a fast break the other way.
Yeah. I
know. I'm just.
I don't know what to say about it.
I know.
I don't know what to say about it.
By the way, Magic reporters, if you haven't already, please ask Desmond Bane why he keeps doing this, because I can't find any quotes offhand either.
I could. Yeah, that's the craziest thing. Let me just say, friend of the show, Ben Stiller. Well, if we're ever doing that dodgeball too, where like I'm still throwing my hat in the ring to be an analyst on one of the Desmond Bane would be a great like candidate.
Great cameo.
We needed Ben on for like a guest segment today for like 5-10 minutes to like break down Desmond Bane's dodgeball technique. Right, like,
that would have been dope.
We need Ben next time you're on. Let's we got to get into it.
All right, man. Okay, we've been neglecting the people for a while. Not Ben necessarily, but like all three of us have not done a mailbag, I don't think, in a few weeks. So, Cartier Cliff, what's popping, brother? Good to see your face. Are you okay after last night? Are you good, bro? Are you okay? Yo, Cliff sent us a video, B and V in the chat about like he was in a car with all his partners, like after leaving a bar from a Philly bar, and there was just so many expletives. And this is coming off the heels. Razi, you need to watch this podcast. There's a podcast that Memphis Bleak does on the Drink Champs channel where he just had Beanie Siegel on for an hour, and they're just talking. They're just talking Philly shit. You need to listen to that. But it's coming off the heels of that. And then Cliff sends this video about the Eagle on the heels of the Eagles losing it. It's the same just shit. And I was really just scared. I'm not going to lie. So
wait, why was you scared though? That's just how we talk.
Yeah. Y'all a different breed, bro. It's different. It's December 9th. It's cold. You guys just said it was a real cold freeze on the East Coast.
It's a cold winter. Y'all better bundle up.
Yeah, bro. Are you good though?
Yeah, look, man, I'm fine, man. You know, the Eagles did win a Super Bowl in this calendar year, so I think I'll be okay. I think we're okay for now. But however, last night was it was very disappointing there. So Let's get to the mailbag, man. We haven't done one of these in a while. This is from John Churchwell. He says, why does no one want to play in the East? He says, hey, huge fan of the pod. The news about Giannis got me thinking. I feel like no superstars want to play in the East unless it's a New York City squad. Why do y'all think the conferences are so lopsided as they are? I know the West is California and Texas, but I feel like no superstar free agents want to come to the East unless they're moving to New York City or Miami. I get the appeal that a lot of teams in the West have Texas big cities, and California being what it is. Outside of Miami, I can't think of a team in the East that does well with getting big name guys, and even the Heat haven't hit on something big in a while. So, Raj, since you down there in Fort Lauderdale, you know, a lot of my folks, a lot of my cousins, you got to take on this? Because I know, you know, a lot of players in the league kind of like to migrate to the Phoenixes, the Clippers, the Lakers, you know, teams like that.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak to today's player. I haven't been one in a while. I think they're, in terms of things to get into, social options that weather, would factor into. There's more opportunity in some of those places. You know, I love Philly. I got family from Philly. My wife's family is from New York. I have family in that DC area and stuff like that. Jersey too. Like, I know that whole area.
You got the whole East Coast, right?
And it's dope. No, real talk. It's dope. Atlanta, I got family in Atlanta. But like that corridor, especially the Northeast, when it gets cold, your options are limited. You know what I mean? Like, you just, and so, if you're going to be indoors hooping and working the whole time, but given the opportunity when you're not working to be able to be outside, maybe play some golf and stuff like that. I don't know. I think it's probably as simple as that. Miami's always a destination because the weather is good and you could be outside and there's shit to do. Other than that, I don't really know. I weirdly played most of my career on the West Coast too, which wasn't great for me in terms of my family, but like that's just how it wound up. I don't know. I don't have a great answer there, but I would say that weather would and opportunity to be outside and doing some shit is a factor when you're comparing apples to apples in terms of like salary or opportunity to win and stuff like that.
I'm sorry, Cliff. Didn't you just get Paul George like a couple summers ago? Didn't he choose to go to Philadelphia? Did that just happen?
But Logan, I think that bag was talking more than.
No.
Look, the bag always talks. Like that's
bag always talks.
Plain and simple.
I just want to say before we get to Howard to answer this question, he's probably going to have a much more profound answer than me and Roger. Is the case. But we were on a call. To your point, Roger, about the cold. We had the pre-pod meeting yesterday, and Cliff and Howard are just bundled fucking freezing. Just like Cliff just got back from the gym and is like, I'm like, what's wrong, bro? He's like, it's brick. It's brick out here, Howard. You good? You good? And I'm over here. It's 44 degrees in the Bay. And I'm over here with my little North Face. And they're like, shut the fuck up, Logan. Me and Ben Cruz over here, like, it's just cold. And they're like, shut up. Like, that cold in the East Coast just do something to you. It just make you mean. It's just like, remember that scene in Paper Soldiers, Roger, where Beanie Siegel slapped like 7 dudes at a barbershop for no reason? I don't know if you saw that. That's what the Philly cold does to you. That's what it does.
Look, I mean this affectionately, right? Like, because my family was in Philly and most of my time, I spent 2 years in Westchester, like in the winters, but most of my time in Philly was when I was out of school. So it was summertime, beautiful shit to do. You're outside, gorgeous, right? Same with New York. But boy, when I was there for that season and a half, and people ask me about Philly, I'm like, that shit is rough, dog. When it is cold, that shit is a rough place to be. People look rough because it's so cold. So I'm with you. I'm with you, Logan.
That's how you earn that beard.
Yeah.
All right, Howard, what were you going to say? I apologize.
Oh, man. It's great that we can work in a weather segment here on The Real Ones. It's
been a while.
We're such a versatile crew. The funny thing about the question, thank you, John Churchwell, for the question, is that actually when you look at where the stars are in the NBA, most of them, they're with the team that drafted them. So like, all right, Jokic, best player in the league, is in Denver. They drafted him. Giannis is in Milwaukee. They drafted him. Jason Tatum is in Boston. They drafted him. Luka has been with 2 Western Conference teams, but, let's see. Atlanta actually drafted him, but they foolishly traded him to Dallas. But Dallas then foolishly traded him to LA. But point being, Luka didn't choose his destinations. Shea, drafted with a Hornets pick, by the way, by the Clippers, and is now in Oklahoma. Şengün Anoman Thompson in Houston. Wemby, Ant Edwards, Booker, Steph Curry. All these guys were drafted to the teams that have them. So it's not like this was a matter of choosing the destination. It happens sometimes, right? But like one of the bigger moments of like superstar free agency in the last 10 years was Kyrie and KD choosing Brooklyn in 2019. So that, like, I know that the question was about, like, it seems like only New York, and I think he was referring mostly to the Knicks. But like, all right, guys have chosen. Paul George, as you noted, Logan, guys have chosen Eastern Conference cities. It's more that most guys move around by trade than free agency, or if you're a superstar that's been with the team, if there's a disparity between the two conferences, it's mostly due to the draft. So like, you can find other examples, right? But Harden, when he wanted to be traded out of Houston, wanted to be traded to Brooklyn. And then when he soured on Brooklyn, he wanted to be traded to Philly. And then eventually, now he's in LA at the tail end. But there's no simple answer to the East-West thing in terms of where the talent is, the top level talent is, because there's been so many different factors and guys aren't bouncing around via free agency as much. It's mostly by trade, sometimes a trade that they force, but sometimes just out of the blue. So
also, the Eastern Conference, I believe, also is like just over the last, I would say, 20 years, has just had the bad fortune of like not great front office work, right? Like,
yeah,
you brought up the Knicks. I mean, before, the CAA takeover, they were pretty bad in terms of their front office and the people that they picked with Phil Jackson. A lot of those, like, the big time front office was in Miami, right? It just happened to be a great weather city, right? But when you look at if you look at the Western Conference, right, for years, Bob Myers was in there, right? You talk about Denver just finding Jokic, and you talk about
the Spurs for all those years,
the
Thunder under Sam Presti, right?
They just all happened to reside in the Western Conference, right? At a time when the Eastern Conference just didn't have great executives, right? And like, sorry, like the tanking Sixers for like fucking 5-6 years, the trust the process Sixers. You just have groups that just don't.
But that's why Embiid is there, Logan. Like, I mean,
no. I'm just saying. You talk about like people not wanting to come. Like, okay, yes, it did help out to get Joel Embiid, but for years it's like they put out a product that was so inferior that no free agent was going to want to come to the Sixers but that wasn't their plan. But no team was going to, no big time free agent was going to want to go to that.
There's an important note within this too, which is like the Donovan Mitchell example. Donovan Mitchell decides it's time for things to end in Utah. His goal is to get to New York. He wanted to play for the Knicks. Everybody knew it. The Cavs make the offer that the Jazz like better. He ends up in Cleveland. We're all speculating. The whole league is speculating, he's not going to stay because he really wants to be in New York. And he re-signed in Cleveland. Why? Because he liked what they were doing. So to your front office point, the Cavs under Kobe Altman have made a lot of really smart moves, including the all-in gambit that cost them a lot of picks to get Donovan Mitchell, and drafting Garland and Mobley and trading for Jared Allen. Like, they've put together a good team to where Donovan Mitchell's like, you know what? Yeah, I did want to get to New York, but you know what? I'm good here, man. Like, we can compete here. We can contend here. And so you got to do right by the stars that you've got. And like, if Giannis ends up leaving Milwaukee, it's going to be because, well, yeah, we won a championship, but then things started eroding. Like, it's all these other factors. It's never just about the weather or whatever else. I think this is the end of our extended weather segment.
All right, Cliff, one more, because
right,
I got shit to do and Roger's out.
I'm already texting.
Yep.
Let's get to this last one from Tyler Finley. This is player appreciation. Hey, legends, do you guys have a player you wish you had appreciated more in the moment? For me, it's Blake Griffin. I loved watching him, but knowing now that we don't have anyone like him, I wish I had appreciated him in the league more. Cheers, Tyler.
It's a great question.
Yeah, I don't know. Go ahead.
I appreciate it more to watch as a player.
Blake was a lot of fun, man. And also, by the way, Blake has been fucking great on Amazon. Amazon Prime's put together a great studio
they're
show.
Kind of, like, low-key with, like, ESPN not, like, really using Inside the NBA, but in spurts. I think Amazon might have the best show right now, to be honest.
Right now, yeah. Until the inside guys come back out of, like, hibernation, whenever that's going to be. Amazon's killing it. They've been great.
I'm trying to think. This is a really great question that I've never really considered. I don't know. I've been foiled a lot, man. Every player that I've ever wanted to see in live, I've pretty much seen them. I have a different one. Like, I wish that I will say this, man. I wish that I saw Lamar Odom at his full capacity. I'll say that. Just what a fucking talent he was, right? Like, if he had it all the way together, like, just, personal life and everything. And we saw it in spurts on that 6 Man of the Year, but like, dude was a problem and was ahead of his time when you just talk about that. I often think, and I always say this in press rooms, but if we could have seen Lamar Odom, like prime Lamar Odom, even like who he was as a person, as on the 2015-16 Warriors, that would have been so much fun to watch. Like, oh my goodness. I just love watching Lamar Odom play. I think he would have been good. I think same with Ron Artest. Like, if he had everything, he had it in spurts, but he was such a really, really good player. But Lamar Odom is always the guy that I'm like, damn, I wish I would have seen him at full capacity.
Yeah. I'll go. I mean, it's tough. There's so many. I was blessed to play with a lot of great players, and I in general, I think given the opportunity to go back, I would have appreciated every player that I played with. Like, that went by so fast that I didn't have time to soak it all up like I should have. So probably everyone. But like, I'll see clips sometimes of guys and their games just catch me in a way that I'm like, damn, like he was doing that. And so I'll use a couple of those guys as people. Jay Will.
I was thinking about Jay Will.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
He was ahead of his time, man.
Yeah, man. He was. That's crazy. Some of the stuff he was doing.
Cool.
What? And someone that I played with, but I got him when he was kind of, forgive me, old, as an NBA player, and he was still coming in cooking for the Mavs in really critical moments. Was quick. Nick Van Exel.
Wow. Yeah.
His game,
career goes totally different way with like two different moves. If two different moves don't happen, he's looked out completely different.
Yeah, you could speak to that. I'm speaking purely about like some of the flair and shot making that he had to his game that I don't think I fully appreciated, at the time when I was, a lot of that corridor time, I was so busy being a college player or a trying to be pro player that I didn't have the time to invest in just watch it. And there weren't really, I couldn't watch a Denver game when you just wanted to watch a Denver game. But yeah, those two would be for me. I mean, amongst a lot of them, but those two.
Hey, Rod, I love my favorite thing about Nick Van Exel is that he would basically shoot a college three as a free throw.
Oh, dude, just
Love
great.
That was his fix because he was struggling from the free. If I remember correctly, he was struggling from the free throw line, so he would go up and he would take like 2 steps back.
Yeah,
and that was that was wild.
I once got Dale Harris on the phone for like an hour for a Nick Van Exel story. It was amazing.
Only an hour? You get Dell on the phone, it's never just an hour. It's usually
I was a novice. I
that might have been
more, but I might have cut him off because I was just tired.
The over-under on the number of questions you asked to get him for an hour is 2.
Yeah, it was under. It was great. He gave me everything I needed. That was what it was.
that was the best. My favorite player before I was a journalist covering the league, right? In my fandom years, my last fandom years in the 90s, I freaking loved Scottie Pippen because of like just the grace in his game. Mm-hmm. And so I use it as a leaping off point to say that I think my answer to this question might be Tracy McGrady, which is like, there's a little bit of a lineage there, right, Raja? Like Tracy, like he had like, he was long and he just could just get places that other guys couldn't. And he had like the handle and the moves, and just a gracefulness to him. He was just an aesthetically pleasing basketball player. He was fun to watch. And, like Tracy's career somewhat cut short by all the injuries, also just situations that went bad, and, Grant Hill's injuries when they were both in Orlando together. And like, it's not so much whether or not I could appreciate him in the moment. Like, I was covering other teams, so I only got to see him up close when he was playing the team I was covering, whether it was the Lakers or then the Knicks. But it's also just like, I wish I'd gotten to see more of him, but I also wish there had been more of him. And Grant Hill, as long as I'm mentioning him, that too, because like these guys were fucking awesome before injuries
Howard,
just kind of derailed them.
If Tim Duncan would have went to Orlando.
Yeah, that was the thing. Like they had cleared the cap room to get all 3. That was like the first time I believe in the cap era where a team had done we're going to clear the cap and just go all in. We're letting everybody expire. And the goal was Grant Hill and McGrady and Duncan, and he seriously considered it before re-upping in San Antonio. So yeah, there's a massive what if right there.
They're all 6'7", long, like swooping, unfolding at the rim type of players. Yeah, they're pretty cool to watch. Quick Tracy McGrady story before we get out. Second year in Philly. Supposed to kind of be in the rotation. At least they thought I would be, but I wasn't good enough to do that. So I was sitting. Most nights my games were playing Mike Woodson in a pregame workout. I'd play him one-on-one, and then I'd cool down, warm up, sit on the bench and eat my Snickers bar. Well, this particular game, it was touch and go whether Matt Harpring was going to play. That was Tracy McGrady's matchup, right? Touch and go. Larry Brown comes to me. I've not prepared well to play in the game and says, yeah, Matt's not playing tonight. You got to get Tracy McGrady. You're going to start. I'm like, oh, okay. So then he starts giving me like a little details. I forget exactly what they were. It's like, hey, play his left hand. He said, you know what? Nobody can fucking guard him anyway. Just go out there and do your best. And then he walked away. I said, okay, thanks, coach.
How'd you do?
Probably not well. I mean, I don't really recall how the game went. They typically did not go well for me in that season, but I just always appreciated that, like, Larry Brown was going through what you would do, and then he was like, who cares? Just go out there and try your best.
Yeah, man. He was fucking nuts, bro. I never got to see him play live. I wish I did. Bro.
Crazy.
He was insane. You know what's crazy real quick? Howard, to your point about, like, seeing players before you cover the league and, like, seeing them after. Like, I'm going through that process right now. Like, this generation of, like, the Durants, the LeBrons, the Stephs, it's weird because these are all players that I still watched when I was in high school, and they're still in the league right now. And like, I'm almost at the place where it's like, oh, there's not gonna be any more players left from like my high school days. So it's just weird to like kind of go through this, right? Because you got to turn it off. You have to turn it off, and it's just an interesting like thing to go through when you're. I mean, you went through it with Scotty. So, like, it's a weird just adjustment.
Welcome.
I want to add one.
Yeah.
Can I add one? Sorry, Howard, I didn't mean to cut you
no,
off.
go.
I would have appreciated Vince Carter more.
Oh, yeah.
When he was in prime, I would have appreciated that more because that you see some clips of that and you're like, Jesus Christ, that's crazy.
Yeah, he's a bad motherfucker. You played in a great era, Ra. Played in a great
it was pretty cool,
era, dude. It was a pretty good fucking era. The Forrest Gump of real ones, Raja Bell. That is Howard Beck. I'm Logan Murdock. That has been another edition of Real Ones. Make sure you tap in with us, realonesmailbag@gmail.com, realonesmailbag@gmail.com, realonesmailbag@gmail.com. We do this every Tuesday, or at least we try to, with me, Raja, and Howard, and Cliff. Thanks for joining us. We will see you guys on Friday. All the shits. Bye. Must be 21 years and older and present in select states for Kansas and affiliation with the Kansas Star Casino, who are 18 and older and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rghelp.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut, or visit mdgamblinghelp.com in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 1-800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York.